my goodness. My glasses need cleaning. Hello, everybody. We are getting ready to launch the next episode of Sunday Night Live. Whew. And I can see a little better. Let's see. Something's not right here with how I see. How's that? Oh, that's a little better. Okay, awesome. All right, we're not quite to 7 yet, so I can't do my big launch, so we'll just have to wait just a moment or two. Yes. It's 6:59, T-minus 20. Oh, it's 7. All right. Yay! Hello, everybody. This is Shannon LaBruyere. I am live and loving it tonight. It is Sunday, July 7th, 2019, and I am here to help you thrive in change. So welcome to hey, Kevin, you're the first one to jump on. Mwah! I love seeing you. Welcome. This is awesome. Yeah. What a wonderful 4th of July holiday weekend we've had here in the United States, at least in Michigan. We had, by and large, really good weather. It was just a good time. So I've enjoyed celebrating our freedom, and I hope you have as well. And I want to welcome you. I want to welcome you to the kickoff to the work week. I don't know how many of you have seen the meme on Facebook that says something about I hate Mondays. There's all kind of manner of them. I hate Mondays. Monday is not fun day. People really love to hate on Mondays. And I'm here to tell you on a Sunday night, getting ready for a Monday morning, that you don't have to hate Monday mornings. You really, really don't. Rose, I'm glad you jumped on. Thanks for being here. Karen, yay! So people are starting to roll in. This is nice. I just want you to know that starting your work week on Sunday night at 7 o'clock, hearing something positive, watching something that's inspirational, something that feeds your soul and helps you to move forward toward whatever goal you're looking for, that is a wonderful way to start a Monday. Start it on Sunday night. Bridget, I'm glad you're here. Missy, I'm glad you jumped on. Yeah, and Rose is sending the smiley faces. She knows what I'm talking about. So welcome all of you. Tonight I'm going to talk about the 4th principle of the Thrive and Change principles that I teach all over. I teach them to work groups, I teach them to churches, I teach them in small groups, I share them everywhere I go. And my life, I don't want to say it's centered around these principles, but these are principles that are central to my life. How's that? These are principles, the Thrive and Change principles that I teach are central to how I look at the world, how I make my decisions, how I move through life. So the 4th one of those principles is called Find the Beauty. And so tonight I want to talk with you about finding the beauty. Kathy, it's so good to see you. How are you doing? Have you been knitting a lot lately? I'm guessing yes. Welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. So the principle I want to talk about tonight is find the beauty. And the reason that being able to find beauty is so central to being able to thrive in change is that we can be so overwhelmed when we aren't able to see the beauty that's in the situations around us. Welcome, Shay. So glad you jumped on. Yes, this idea of finding the beauty, some people think, I can't find beauty in a bad situation because they feel like it's disrespectful to the badness of the situation. How can you say that there's anything good coming out of that? It almost to people feels like, it almost feels like to people at times that if they acknowledge that something's beautiful, that it somehow negates the fact, or it's like we're trying to put a little Band-Aid on the bad stuff that's happening, and that is not the case. That's not what finding the beauty is all about. So I want to talk a little bit about that because I've been finding beauty, and I've had to learn to do it over the course of my life, and it has helped me immensely. The better I get at finding the beauty, the more resilient I am, the less personal I take the big changes that happen around me that I can't control. Daniel, I'm glad you're here. And Shay, you were just barely late. You missed nothing. So, welcome everybody. It's time to get started. Thriving in change. We're going to talk about finding the beauty. All right, so how many of you are familiar with a woman named Martha Stewart? Some of you, if you're anywhere around my age, some of you really know who Martha Stewart is. Martha Stewart was on the front end of this whole lifestyle decorating and entertaining empire, if you will. If you think of HGTV like it is now, Martha Stewart would have been on HGTV if it had existed when she was getting started. But when I was a young and impressionable wife and a mom, yeah, Rose remembers, when I was a young impressionable wife and mom, Martha Stewart was the epitome of what cool looked like. She knew how to throw a party. She knew how to decorate Christmas trees. All of her cookies looked amazing. She made canapes, and I don't even know what canapes are, but she made them sound amazing. She had a magazine that was beautifully shot. Martha Stewart herself used to be a model, all right? So Martha Stewart was perfect, and she was what the media told me, a young wife and mom, she was what the media told me beautiful looked like. She was a beautiful woman. She had beautiful decor. Everything was just so, and it looked like no matter where you looked, she had a little television show, and no matter where you looked on her television set, it just looked amazing. Every shot in her magazine, beautiful. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Martha Stewart. All right, so for those of you who don't remember Martha Stewart, how about Chip and Joanna Gaines? Maybe, just maybe, you are wanting to live the Magnolia life, right? Chip and Joanna Gaines would have us believe, not totally, but to just watch their TV show, look at their magazine, check out their decor. They would have us to believe that if we have enough shiplap, our life will be perfect and amazing. And if we don't have shiplap, it's just not. If we don't have that cute little shabby chic dresser right there underneath the shiplap wall that has the beautiful writing on it that has all the names of your family members, it's just, you know, your living room looks like junk. It is so easy to be convinced that beauty looks like that. And that if we don't have something that looks just so, we can't appreciate the beauty of it. Yeah, I love those people, Rose. It is so simple to get sucked into, especially if, and I might be talking to some of you, especially if you come from an upbringing where things weren't necessarily perfect, right? I came up, and I've shared this before, I came up in a family that was dysfunctional. My dad was an alcoholic. Thank God he stopped drinking when I was in my teens. But when I was growing up, that was still a huge factor in our lives. And my mother suffered from depression. And that combination meant there was a lot of chaos. Now, I don't know what your life looked like when you were growing up, but it's possible that it didn't look like Martha Stewart's parties. It may not have looked like Chip and Joanna Gaines's beautiful living room and the adorable children, and everybody's just disheveled enough that they look cute. They don't look like they haven't had a bath in 3 days with gum stuck in their hair, like sometimes happened at my house. So you may share some of the same baggage, if you will, that I have. The glasses, the same glasses that I looked at the world with. So when I became an adult, I started thinking that that's what beauty was, and that if I didn't have that, I didn't have anything beautiful at all. It was very much a black and white situation for me. And welcome, Frank. I'm glad you're here. It is good to see you. I started thinking, without knowing it, that beauty was always black or white. That if there was any black involved at all, if there was some dark thing happening in my life that made me sad, then the bright light had no impact on it. It was feast or famine for me. Everything was this pendulum. Are you like that? Have you looked at your career, your job, and thought, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I just need to run for my life. Let's see, Shay. Truth be told, it happened to us too. Yeah. I have not run into one person who doesn't have something that is less than perfect in our past. Julie, I'm glad you're here. I've missed you the last couple of weeks, so thank you for tuning in. All right, so Martha Stewart, she painted that picture. It all looked glorious. Chip and Joanna Gaines, if that's your style, they do. They make it look easy, and they make it look like even the hard times are just beautiful with that little fuzzy lens. But that's not the case. The real truth is this. Martha Stewart slept 4 hours a night. That's on the record. If you can Google it. She slept 4 hours or less a night. That woman got no sleep. She was working all the time, and she was a dictator. She was harsh and had a staff of people. She wasn't making things look beautiful, all right? She wasn't making things look beautiful all by herself. Dawn, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Martha Stewart wasn't making everything perfect. She was just making everything look like it was. This desire that we have at times to look perfect so that everything can be beautiful, it's fake, because there's nowhere we can go where it's actually perfect. There are always warts and bumps and waves in the wall and little holes that they've spackled and kind of covered over with a picture, right? So this notion of that we have of what beauty isn't a notion that is going to serve us well if we want to be resilient and thrive and change. We have to get used to knowing that there can be slivers of beauty even in the midst of a really, really ugly picture. There can be slivers of beauty even in the midst of stuff that just is ugly and we hate it and it's terrible. That's all true. It is ugly. Just 100% verifiable ugly. It's okay. There are still always, and that's something that I refuse to let go of. There will always be beauty when we look for it. When I was working with a young supervisor named Sheila, I was young myself. She and I were new partners in an endeavor at the Postal Service, and we were excited about it. It was really cool. And I was just getting to know Sheila, and she was telling me one day, Shannon, guess what? I got a new bedspread, and it's beautiful. I says, oh, wow, what does it look like? And she said, well, you know, it's brown, and it has, you know, some flowers on it, and there's some green. It's really nice. I said, oh, that sounds amazing. And then the next day she says, Shannon, I got some new sheets. I said, you got some new sheets? Tell me about them. She goes, oh, they're so beautiful. You know, they're yellow and they're pink, and then they've got some plum in there. And she starts describing sheets that to my Martha Stewart mind sounded hideous. And so I had asked her, okay, what you're describing, I just can't even imagine. It sounds terrible. Doesn't that drive you nuts that they don't match? And she looked at me. She was actually surprised that I asked that question and said, well, they're both beautiful. I love them. They're both beautiful. I want to encourage you to look at your life like that. There is a lot of ugly. There is, because there is a lot of ugly in all of our lives. We don't all show it all the time, but you and I, we all know that it's there. Hey, Jay, I'm glad you jumped on. It's good to see you. Jay from Alaska. Woohoo! What Sheila described is something that's so powerful when we want to be people who can thrive in the midst of change, because being able to see that this thing is beautiful just by itself, disregard the stuff that doesn't match that beauty. We can appreciate what's beautiful about that just for what it is. And we can appreciate this thing just like it is for what it is. There is beauty there. And I know as I've gone through my life, I've so much appreciated Alberta, Canada. Oh, I said Alaska. It is Alberta. You're right. I am sorry, Jay. And there's a Canadian maple leaf on your icon, so shame on me. Sorry, Jay. It starts with an A. It was close. Gosh, that's the second geography thing I've gotten wrong. Last week, I was talking about my pastor who had just been on a missions trip to Paraguay, and it was actually Peru. So I've got to get my geography better. How's that? All right, so Skitilinga, I don't know who that is. Ingle Itix, whoever you are, I'm glad you're here. Can't read your name, but I'm glad you joined us anyway. All right, so we're talking about beauty and how important it is to be able to appreciate a thing for being beautiful, even if it's surrounded by things that are not, because that is often what our life is like. It doesn't mean that those difficult things don't exist. What it does mean is that we are choosing to focus on something that is beautiful, at least for a few moments, and get the emotional satisfaction out of recognizing that that is something that's worth having, that it's something that's worth noticing. And let's take that principle and apply it to our lives, the lives that we have now. So you may have a job that you hate. You may be in circumstances that are less than ideal. You might be in terrible circumstances. And I know some of you are. I'm sure of it. Because at times in our lives, we all are. How can you take a deep breath, take a look around, and identify something that you can be grateful for to find the beauty? That is so powerful and so valuable. Being grateful for the beauty that we do have and that we do see doesn't negate, and I keep going back to that, but I do that because I know how we are wired, and we so often think that just because something is terrible, we can't acknowledge that something else is nice, that it's good, that it's valuable, that it's pretty. But those two things can exist at the same time. I've done this exercise before. Over here, you've got the dark stuff. This is not good. And then you've got the stuff over here that's better, that's beautiful, and they seem so far apart. And we can't look at the negative and see the positive at the same time because it's way over here. But we can bring those things together, right? And that's what I'm talking about, finding the beauty. Finding the beauty means that we can be grateful for what we have, even if we want things to change, right? Brian, yay, I'm glad you're here. Julie's grateful for her puppy dogs. Isn't that the truth? I've been really grateful for Ted lately. He has been so sweet. He's been such just a gem lately, being such a good boy. And I can appreciate what you're saying, Julie. Sometimes our pets are those bright spots, right? The bright spot in the midst of the dark night, right? All right, so in my adult life, there were times in my career where I felt like I was looking at a panorama of beauty. Everything was so awesome. It was beautiful. Everything was going good. I loved it. And then there were other times when in my job, my career, things were falling apart. I wasn't doing the work I loved. Things weren't going well, and it seemed terrible. However, in spite of the fact that, I can see, Giselle, you are even distracting me because of all those hearts. I'm glad you're here, Giselle. And Jason, your dog is your best friend. I'll bet. Yeah, I've seen a picture of your dog. That is no small beast. That is a big friend you've got there. Terry, welcome. All right, so we're talking about beauty. And we can find beauty even in the midst of situations that we don't love. It is there. Just like Sheila's bedspread didn't match her sheets, but they were both beautiful and surrounded by stuff maybe not so good. We can see the beauty when things aren't so good. All right. When we are grateful for what we have, and we all have something that we can be grateful for. When we are grateful for what we have, it doesn't mean that we don't want things to change. It doesn't mean that we're settling. And I want to encourage you, if you're in a situation that you are not happy, if you know that you could do better, you could be more, that there's more purpose, more significance in your life, I want you to know that you don't have to stay there just because you're grateful for what you have while you're there. All right? Finding the beauty doesn't mean finding that sliver of goodness and just focusing on that and tuning everything else out, not taking any action. And I am always about action. Please, please, whenever you can, be biased toward action. It is always better to take action. And then, let me see, what is it? What is it? Act first and do it and then ask permission. I think that's what it is. You do it first and then you ask permission. Well, that's how life works best, when we take action and figure it out as we go. So I'm not saying find the beauty and camp there and focus on this one little sliver of bright light that comes through your prison cell. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. You can be in something that might feel like a prison cell. You can look out that prison window and see light shining, and you can appreciate the light and at the same time take action to get out of jail. None of us are actually prisoners, but we have built walls around ourselves so that we are essentially in prison. We're not technically in prison, but we act like we are. We act like we can't make changes. We act like we can't make choices. We start convincing ourselves that, you know what, at least I've got, Almond Joys. I'll just sit here and eat my Almond Joys and settle for a terrible life. That's not what I'm talking about either. And Kelly, I'm so glad you're here. Girl on fire. So glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Finding the beauty means appreciating what's good out of the bad situation that you might be in, but not staying there. Appreciating it while it's there, but taking action to make things better. Does that make sense? Can you do that in your situation where you're at now? Semper Dienseps. Jason, don't make me Google that. I have no idea what that means. You need to translate for that for us. Sylvia, I'm glad you're here. So I'm encouraging you to find the beauty. Something that's been going over and over in my head, and it was a disturbing story, but I won't belabor you with the details. But a young man died. He was young. His family was distraught, and this just happened a couple of weeks ago in Florida. I had no idea that this kind of thing existed, but in the midst of that terrible tragedy, the family decided to donate his organs. Always forward. I love that, Jason. Yes. Hello, Giselle. Good to see you. So this young man's family decided that because he had died, that they would donate his organs. And they had something called an honor walk at the hospital. And so as they wheeled this young man down the halls, his friends, his family, the doctors and nurses and staff in the hospital, all the patients that could, lined the hallways as this young man was wheeled to the operating room where his family was preparing to say their final goodbye. But to pay it forward, to be able to let him donate his organs so that other kids, other people could live and have wonderful lives. What a terrible, terrible tragedy. But I've got to tell you, as I watched that, and the young man's mom was adamant. She wanted as many people there as possible to see it. She wanted it to be posted on Facebook so that people who were friends of their family could see the beauty in the midst of the terrible moment. I'm here to tell you, I don't know how dark your situation is. All I know is this. Even in the midst of that, there is beauty. And finding that beauty is going to call you forward. Like Jason said, always forward. Follow that beauty. Don't stay put and use it to comfort yourself. And as my coach friend Michelle says, decorate your prison. Rearrange the furniture in the prison cell that you built for yourself. Don't do that. Look for that beauty and follow that slice of beauty, because there is a panorama of beautiful things out there. You just have to get to them. It doesn't always happen overnight, but that's the path. Follow the light, right? So that's it. Let me see what Shay has to say. Err on the side of beauty in all situations. Oh, I love that. Err on the side of beauty. Oh my goodness. That needs to be one of those beautiful with a sunset memes on Facebook. I just might have to make one and credit you, Shay. That's a beautiful thought. Err on the side of beauty. How can you find the beauty? And how can you be the person that helps others find the beauty? Not by lecturing them and saying, you ought to be grateful for what you got. You know, kids in China eat bread all day. You know, my parents used to tell me, you'll be grateful for that. You know, there's starving kids who'd love to have it. True, but it still tasted terrible. But there are other ways that we can encourage ourselves to be grateful, and finding the beauty is one of them. If we get good at finding the beauty and following the beauty, we are going to be resilient. We are going to be able to thrive in the midst of change. A lot of times, it's easier for us to look back and see a situation and say, you know what? It was hard, but at least this good thing happened, right? So we've been able to do that. That was hard, but at least this good thing happened. But there are times when we look back on our lives and we don't see any good at all. And I'm here to tell you that I took a journey down memory lane a couple of Christmases ago, and I wanted to send my dad a Christmas card. He lives in Florida. Wanted to send him a Christmas card. Actually, I wanted to send him a bunch of Christmas cards. It was sort of a fun joke. I sent him one every day for the whole month. Wanted to send him a Christmas card. And like I said, my childhood, it was not always smooth. There was a lot of upheaval when I was growing up. And a lot of that upheaval, and some of you may have experienced this, a lot of that upheaval happened around the holidays because partying and the stress of events and going places, and it just seemed like it was worse at the holidays. And so as I was trying to find some good memories to latch onto from Christmas way back when to write in this Christmas card, I found that I was having difficulty remembering anything good. It was only bad. All I could think of was the time that I was crying, or that this negative thing happened, or that. It was really easy for me to look back and see the negative. I know that's not the case for everybody. Some people have rose-colored glasses, right? They look back and everything was awesome, and it probably wasn't. So there's a happy medium. But this is what I know. As many bad things that happened to me when I was a kid, there were also good things. Stacy, I'm so glad you jumped on. Yeah, Jay, right? We look back and some of them are very sad. And they're often the ones that imprint on us and that we remember. But I can tell you this because I've done it myself. What I discovered was that when I looked for the beautiful moments, I was able to find some. I was able to find them when I started looking. And so I started with a small one and remembered, in this case, it was my dad reading us a Christmas story. And I remembered, it's like, wow, oh my gosh, he did do that. I remember that. I was with my sister and my brother. And so I wrote that in a card and I sent it off. And then the next day I sat down and I was trying to remember something good. And it's like, a lot of negative. Yep, I remember that. Yep, that was not cool. Oh yeah, no. But hold on, I understand. Shannon, it was tough, but there was also some good stuff too. And I started looking for the good stuff. And as I started looking for the good things, I started finding more and more. And I found that those good memories were popping up, that I was able to connect with, oh, I remember when we went Christmas caroling and that was so fun. Oh, I remember when we went to the Thanksgiving Day parade. I hadn't looked for the good memories in a really long time. I'm not telling you that if you go back to a traumatic past that you will automatically and for sure find good things. Many of us need help, need professional help for that to happen. And I've been really open about this too. I have gone to a counselor for many, many years, and it has been a wonderful, powerful thing that's allowed me to thrive and also to find beauty. All I'm saying is this. There were good things, even in the midst of the bad. And if we can find them, it's going to sustain us. And it makes it easier to move forward when we follow the beauty, right? Stacy, I am so glad you just tuned in. Thank you so much. We are just getting ready to wrap up. And I've had a kind of a what do we want to call it? A wandering conversation about finding beauty and how important it is for us to be able to find the beauty so that we can thrive in the midst of change. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that it feeds your soul. Give it some thought. And I would love to hear about some of your experiences finding beauty in unexpected places. I found beauty unexpectedly when, I've got a whole list of them a mile long. Let's see. Oh yeah, Shay Allen saying, seek wise counsel, it's healthy. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. I would not be who I am today without a wise counselor who cared about me and who knew how to help me. So if you're in that boat, I encourage you to seek that out. Dawn, I am so glad you're here. We are just wrapping up, but you are just in time for me to welcome you and say hi. And you'll be able to go back and watch the recording. I want to thank you all for being here. I encourage you to find the beauty. Let's see what Jay's got to say. Yeah, holding it in for years just makes it worse. Yeah, holding it in just does makes it worse. Man, sorry about that. Holding it in does make it worse. I tried that for a long time, stuffing it down, trying to just focus on the good and not acknowledging the bad, right? That's not healthy either. Like, hey, it's all sunshine and roses. And over here, there's a lot of stuff that maybe needs to, right? Bringing them together. Yeah, a wise counselor can help us do that. And getting it out, sharing it instead of stuffing it, so much healthier. I'm encouraging you to take a look around. It might look like a mess. It might not look like Chip and Joanna Gaines decorated your life. There's still beauty there. I'm encouraging you to find it. God bless you all. Mwah! I will see you next week. And actually, for those of you who are following, I will give a little bit of an update about my book journey, the book that I'm writing. I'll be doing that tomorrow, so check that out on Facebook. You guys have been great. Take care, and I will see you next week. Bye.